just entering the Nuraji village here at Santa Cristina. And on the way we just spotted these two standing stones, and whether these were originally here and these mark the sacred area of this particular Bronze Age culture, we don't know. But let's take a look as we head further into the village. So where we are now is Santa Cristina. It's western part of Sardinia, but here is really interesting ancient well which has got precision cut megalithic blocks carved into the earth where they got their water from, and back in the early Bronze Age. There's even earlier stuff here as well, apparently, potentially the stones we just looked at. But the fact that there's a Nuragi village here, we can sort of get a sense of who these people were and exactly what they were doing. So now it's like a Christian, I guess, monastery, and it's lived in. There's houses here, there's huts here, there's people doing their thing here. So it's a very interesting, strange little site. But yeah, we're just going to check out the Nuragi village, which is in the same complex here, and then we're going to go and look at this amazing well. So here we have some kind of entrance into some kind of sacred space. I'm not sure exactly what this is, but let's take a look. Wow, this could be some kind of tomb. So we seem to be in some kind of tomb here. You can just see it behind me. I'm not sure exactly what this is. It's part of the Nuraji village. Megalithic Cyclopean construction, and at first glance it looks like it would have had a roof on it, and this would have been some kind of tomb, but we don't know, we're not sure. So let's take a look at the rest of the site, see if we can see any more details about this particular spot. Behind me you can see the great Nuragi, which is here at the village at Santa Cristina. Now, we're not allowed to go and look at it closely, but just on, from a distance you can easily tell it's got megalithic blocks making up its main construction. Over behind me there is another long construction. It's almost like a giant's tomb or a long barrow, or what's left of it, but it could have been living quarters, it could have been a ceremonial feasting place, it could have been something else. This is just the entrance to the potential tomb. It could have been a living quarters, but I believe it just looks like it's almost like one of the giants' graves, giants' tombs, or the back part of it anyway. And just over here, behind the trees, we have the great Santa Cristina Nuragi with the corbelled roof, beautifully designed. So we're just looking inside the long tomb here at Santa Cristina. You can see very large blocks make it up. But let's have a little zoom in, see if we can see anything inside there. We can't go in there, unfortunately. But let's take a little look. You can just see kind of megalithic construction. So these Nuragis absolutely fascinate me. You can see obviously the great one from Santa Cristina behind me here. They're Cyclopean construction, so we're looking at extremely large blocks piled up, but quite accurately and quite well done. Any stonemason such as Jim Vieira, for instance, would see how good this is. They have a spiral corbelled roof, and then they have it going inwards as well to a point at the top. So it just shows you that whoever was building these in the Bronze Age were fairly sophisticated builders, and they did so many of these. Just driving about, we've seen 50 or so just around. Apparently there are over 8,000 of these Nuragi just on Sardinia. They remind me of the round towers of ancient Ireland, which are obviously a much later date. They remind me as well of the chulpas in Peru and Bolivia. Very much so, very similar. They're not the same high quality polygonal wall construction, but they have the same principles, I believe. They were burial places, they had raised roofs, different entrances, they were astronomical observatories, and they were potentially built by a giant race of people who survived into the Bronze Age, although we know they were probably around a lot longer before that, because we know that some of the sites, the giants' graves, the famous giants' tombs, are much, much older. So we can actually go in this Naraji. Now, we've not been in one yet, so this is quite a treat. So let's have a closer look as we walk in, and you can see the stones that make up the top part. There's lintels there, very large stones in here making up the entrance. Absolutely huge, in fact. These are much bigger than you realize. As you go in, you can kind of see the stairs leading up one way, so it's almost like a castle. And in there we have another chamber. This is the main part here. Now we can't see it that well, it's very dark in here, so you can't really see it, unfortunately. But that's the way in. Oh my God. We have multiple chambers in here, going in all directions. So you see a little bit in here. See one of the chambers, another one here. And these are very much like the Chulpa towers. This is just like Kutimbo, being inside Kutimbo, in one of the towers there. Very, very interesting. So we're just walking up the steps inside the Naraji now. This is very interesting. And these are very roughly done, obviously. You can see that. Be a bit careful. We climb out and we come out on the top here. Absolutely amazing. You can go all the way to the very top up there. There's even some kind of carved monolith there. And here, right on the top, very interesting, some kind of carved stone, and it's shaped. I wonder if that has any meaning. It's like an omphalos, sort of representing the focal point. And you can see here, especially over in that direction, the mountains. I would suggest this may have been, there's been some research that these were astronomical observatories. So it's an amazing feeling to be on top of one of these Narajis here in Sardinia. Now, this is Santa Cristina, and this is just the most amazing place I've ever been to in Sardinia just yet. We're going to see the well in a moment, but just to be up here on top of this sacred site, this sacred temple that was built by these ancient, potentially these giants, it's just quite mind-blowing. And we've just seen evidence, you can see behind me, of this, what looks like some kind of carved rock. Just heading back down now. We'll just keep the camera rolling just to show you the sheer megalithic construction of this incredible site. Much like all the other Narajis, very similar construction. Absolutely breathtaking. So it's dated to 1500 to 1200 BC. This is when it was excavated in the 1970s. It faces southeast, which I think is very, very interesting, because that's like winter solstice sunrise. So we're seeing alignments here now, not just in the Narajis, but also the other sites, the giants' graves. But it is very likely these were astronomically aligned, because from the top you can see the entire horizon. Not now because of the trees, but I'm sure you could have in the past. So they're astronomical, they're probably like energetic with the fertility. And I feel kind of energized after being in there. They really kind of got me after just coming out. I felt really something special. I've kind of got really inspired by these Narajis now. We've seen so many as we've been driving around that they're like one of many, but this one has just changed my perspective. So I'm really looking forward to seeing some more of these, because these are very special megalithic temple sites, very similar to the Chulpas of Peru and Bolivia. So we're just on top of the Santa Cristina well. This is amazing. This is like a Bronze Age masterpiece that goes deep into the ground, perfectly cut volcanic basalt rock. This is on par with ancient Peru, ancient Egypt, and 1100 BC. This is very, very impressive. It was part of the neuralgic village, which is just, you know, a quarter of a mile away, and it just shows you the sophistication that they really had at these sites in Sardinia. So let's get in there and take a closer look. So I'm just now climbing down into the Santa Cristina well. So you can just see, I'm just going to watch my step a bit here, but you can see behind me as I go down what the precision stonework we're dealing with here. It's really quite amazing. All the way up, all the steps, all the beautiful walls. It's absolutely amazing. And just down here we have the circular pool with the beautiful stonework. And just look at this archwork, it's absolutely amazing. All the way up, back to the way we came in. It's really quite remarkable. There's JJ just coming down with me. But look at this beautiful stonework. You can see the way it's kind of layered one upon the other. Absolutely stunning. So this is the sophisticated Bronze Age work we're dealing with here. It's very reminiscent to ancient Peru and Egypt. It's remarkable, this place. Stunning, absolutely stunning. You can actually see here, both sides, it's mirrored. It's almost like the megalithic construction on one side perfectly matches that. Upon the other side, you can see the polygonal block down there. You can see the same, roughly the same size blocks all the way up. We have a mirroring effect, including this amazing ceiling, which is like an upside down series of steps. Then it comes back down again on this side. Quite a remarkable piece of engineering. So we're just inside the famous well at Santa Cristina here in Sardinia. You can just see the amazing stonework behind me, the depth it goes down to, and just above me there you can just see the way this stonework is put together. It's really quite amazing. And beneath me here is there's a round pool, and there's a hole above there, and this perfectly circular kind of corbel roof chamber that goes out and goes straight up to like the midday sun. So it's really, you get like this natural light in here as well. It's also aligned north-northwest, south-southeast. So this is pretty much aligning to the winter solstice sunrise or just off it. So it could be actually the light comes in at different times of the year and actually illuminates the chamber. And apparently during the winter months, the moonlight actually comes in and creates these different sort of magical light effects. So just notice down here on the very bottom steps, you can see this polygonal shape on the right hand corner there. And you can see the way they overlap all the way up, not just on that one, but all the way up, they overlap. So we're seeing very sophisticated megalithic technology here. And these are not small stones either. So this was happening here in Sardinia back in 1100 BC. Probably the same time they were building many of the sites in ancient Peru. So we really have to ask who these Nuraji people really were. They were building these great circular monuments, much like the chulpas of ancient Peru and Bolivia, or the round towers of Britain, or many other temple sites similar like that around the world. But when you come into here, the Santa Cristina well, you see another level of sophistication. We see this intricate stonework, and I've described it and I've shown you polygonal pieces, but this really is something special, and it just shows you the high level of sophistication that some of these Nuraji people were able to produce. I mean, we've seen many of the sites, the Neolithic sites, we've seen the giants' graves, we've seen some Nuraji towers and other such things, but none have this incredible precision. However, we are seeing some tomorrow, some earlier sites, which again, these are like chambers, hypogeums cut out of solid bedrock, which show very high levels of sophistication, including spiral carvings as well. And so we have to question, who were they? If this was a later culture, were they perhaps influenced by the earlier culture? Did the earlier culture teach them? Has this got anything to do with these giant remains and these stories that echo throughout Sardinia? Or is there something else going on here that's yet to be discovered?